Talking with Paul Heineman, who farms with his brother Craig near Ogden, Iowa. And Paul, I had you test out Milwaukee's M18 Fuel. This is their 278220 circular saw. No, it's not for wood. This actually cuts metal. It runs a 5 3/8 to 5 7/8 inch, what they call, this is a 30T blade, a cold carbide, so it's a cold cutoff saw. And Paul, it's kind of small for the farm. You know, you do some heavy duty cutting here. Did you find this at all useful?
This saw is really, it doesn't look like much, but it cuts a lot. I mean, I've cut half-inch steel you're not supposed to, but
yeah, the rating capacity is a quarter, I think, on this. True farmer test here, right? Okay, push it for all it's worth.
So I did a test on it. I cut it a half-inch piece of steel, 12 inches long, and took me 1 minute and 20 seconds to cut through it.
Wow, half-inch plate.
Half-inch plate.
Pretty cool. And when you got done, you said the motor was still cold?
The motor was cold. The battery was a little bit warm.
Well, but you're sucking off so much energy.
It wasn't hot. It was just a little warm.
And the cut itself, of course, the advantage of cold cut blades like this, burr-free and cold. You can go right into weld, then you don't have to dress them up to go on that. Right. Now you used this for your experiment on a half-inch, but what were you using this mostly for around the farm?
Mostly it's smaller things, a 1/4 inch or lighter. Right. I mean, it works to cut squares out of things. I mean, we've used it on sheet metal, you know, building sheet metal and things like that when you're fixing a door or your metal buildings or things like that.
You do a lot of metal fabrication here, and you're handling a lot of different steel and stuff like that. This wasn't going to replace tools for heavy duty work.
No.
But it's one of those handy things you grab if you just need to go cut off a piece?
Correct. That's what we usually use it for.
Did you find out once you started with it, you were A, surprised, and B, you started using it more and more?
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, it's one of those things, hey, let's go get that, you know? So it's like, I've got one of those, we can use it, you know.
Now, cold cut saws, you're no stranger to it because you have a Milwaukee corded you've had for some years. And that has the large, I can't remember the diameter of that blade.
10 1/2 inch.
Right. And you've used that extensively. So cold cut circular blade technology is old hat for you.
Yeah, it works good. The big brother will really cut through thick stuff.
Really thick stuff.
We got 3/4 inch steel, and it's about like cutting a 2x4. It's amazing how it cuts.
The other advantage too, that this was light enough but surprisingly powerful. It has about a 3,000 RPM, so they bragged that up from Milwaukee. Turned out to be everything they said it was.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it does everything, and I say it'll do more than they say it will do, and so it's really convenient just to, because lots of times you just, a small cut is all you need. You don't need it, and so you don't have to drag the cords out. You don't have to, you know, set up and trip over a cord, and you just grab this, cut it off, and put it back.
Now, talk about cordless technology. You're no stranger to that. You've had cordless tools in the shop, and you guys do a lot of work in your shop. You do almost all your work in the shop. The new cordless technology that's even now coming out, are you kind of surprised? They don't seem to ever end with the power delivery with what's going on.
No, they don't, and the batteries get better and better and better. I remember we started with a 9-volt one, and it was, you know, it was great, you know. But then they came out with the 12 volts, and then they went to 18 volts and 20 volts and 60 volts.
And the lithium ion seems to has its own advantage for longevity and running, but also it just lets you know when it needs to be recharged. It doesn't slow down. It just.
What's nice is the little LEDs that tells you how the battery is.
Oh, and then you know
that's really nice because you know when to recharge. You know if you're going to grab it and take it somewhere else, better change the battery.
Paul, this sells both the saw and the blade and the battery and charger for $199, and also so the readers know, if you already have the core or the batteries and the charger, you can buy tools bare by themselves to save some money. But let's say you're buying the whole kit itself at $190 to $200. Is that worth the price for investing in a tool like this?
I would say it is if you're cutting steel. If you want a versatile tool that will do a lot, this is one of them.
Thank you, Paul, for testing the tool. We're going to get you more tools to test in the future, so you can look forward to seeing Paul and Craig in future product test teams evaluations. Now, for more information about the 2782 20 Milwaukee cold cut circular saw, you can go to agriculture.com/TV, or you certainly go to milwaukee.com to get more details. One of the shop products I wanted to have evaluated was a new generation of infrared IR thermometer guns. And I called on James Fred to take on the DeWalt, and this was the DCT-414. This is their 12 volt. This is the 12-to-1 gun. They also have 3 or 4 other models. Now, James, you had started out with a Raytech IR gun, or an infrared gun, a couple years ago, hadn't you? And this was, you were interested in seeing what this had to do. And this was a more simplified version of the infrared gun. How did that compare to the more expensive DeWalt unit that we sent you?
They're fairly comparable. However, with the DeWalt, there's quite a few advantages. Some that are more utilized in certain industries, but the DeWalt was 12-to-1, where the Raytech was 8-to-1, and so that helped with being able to be more accurate at a further distance if you're not able to get up close to something.
And maybe you should explain, on the 12-to-1 to 8-to-1, that's a ratio of distance to the size of the area it senses, right?
Being that it's a 12-to-1, if you're looking at something that's 12 feet out, it's going to be picking up the temperature on a dot 1 inch wide.
Now, let's talk about this and then more the DeWalt. What is the advantage of an infrared gun in a farm operation? You're dairy, got a lot of ventilation fans. You also do a lot of mechanical work in your shop. Mm-hmm. How did you find you used the IR gun before and with the DeWalt in the future?
Yeah, what I've used it a lot of times is checking temperature on bearings. You know, if one's getting close to failure, it's going to run significantly hotter. Motors on electric motors, whether it's on a grain bin or grain bin fan or a ventilation fan in the livestock buildings. But I used it to compare the bearings on a round baler, and in order to determine if they're all seem to be the same, and they all seem to be within close tolerances, and so
that's a great preventative maintenance.
Right, exactly.
But so far you haven't used it to detect heat in cows.
No, I haven't done that.
I don't think that kind of works the same way.
Probably not.
Price point was hovering somewhere around $180 to $220 on this. That would be reduced if you just got the gun alone without the battery. Would that type of investment be worth it for farmers to consider?
Yeah, if you do a decent amount of automotive work, especially on like fleet line trucks, coming in and out of the shop a lot, it's definitely
like you have running a line of semis.
Right. Yes. Right. And especially when you're dealing with a lot of under hood temperatures, with the temperature that one reads, when you start getting close to the exhaust or something like that, you're limited because it's not going to work. This one here, you can test that kind of stuff. So this definitely, if you're dealing with high temperatures, this is definitely the route to go. And for the distance purpose, I mean, that one there, you're limited with accuracy at a certain distance, where this one here, you can be further away. And, you know, if you're operating in those kind of conditions, it's definitely worth looking into. So
you'd give this a thumbs up for a guy that's doing a lot of mechanical work then?
Exactly, yep.
James, thanks for evaluating the DeWalt DCT-414 infrared gun. I'll see you again on another product test team report. Hi, I'm Dave Mowitz. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit subscribe right here if you haven't already, and click that little bell right here to be notified when we post a new video. And click here to see more great videos.